Shalom, Dr. Tovah Goldfine here with Dr. Talia in our regular every few weeks, maybe a few times a year. We'll see how it goes. We've been wanting to meet various members of our community, students in their healing journey who are stuck, and help them in many ways, as well as helping other listeners who might be stuck. Again, our journeys are very different. My name is Dr. Tovah Goldfine. I'm here with Dr. Talia Steed, and we're meeting with Jennifer um, Osman, just beautiful Jennifer. And we're going to hear a little bit about her story and see how we can unstuck her. So go ahead, sweetie, start talking and share with the listeners and share with us
Yeah,
about what's going on,
yeah.
how we can help
I
you.
was, first and foremost, I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do the work that you do. Even I've been on this journey in this scope of viewing things since February. I started to have some back pain, and now that I see things differently, I see that I've had it for a long time, and it was speaking to me and communicating to me for many years. This time around, it didn't seem to subside, um, and it was starting in August. And I'm a runner, and I'm all the things, but I'm also a yoga instructor, so I feel like I have a balanced use of my body. Um, and so I tried to go and make an appointment with a doctor because I felt like that was the responsible thing to do. And when I did, they did all the imaging and they did a workup of my back, and they revealed that I had herniated disc. And that was so very devastating to me. I remember I got in my car and I just cried and cried, and I called my husband. I said, "Oh, this is it. This is it. Physically, I'm just, whatever." And it was, and my from that moment, my pain got worse. It changed. It moved. It was in my upper back. It was, and the details are probably not that important for anybody who follows this, right? We all know that the symptoms are just going to run rampant. And that was in November, December. I followed the advice of the biomedical model to do certain medications, physical therapy. I did a nerve block, and it got worse and it got worse. And I thought, how could this get worse? I was on vacation at Christmas with my whole family, and I was laying just barely able to move. And I thought, how in 3 months 3 months could I have gone from running every day to now I cannot move in this bed? I have two small little boys. I have a 7 and an 8-year-old. Bless their hearts, they were so good at taking care of their mama, but it just made it worse for me. Like, they should not be doing this for me. I should be doing this for them. And so I did every single thing I could possibly do, besides another injection, which was the recommendation of the doctor after the block didn't work. So, well, we'll do an injection. We just missed the spot. And I said, no, thank you. I'm going to keep going. And I started to follow the work of Nicole Sachs. I found her podcast. And then I made an appointment with John Sarno here in Chicago. And I met with him on an afternoon.
Just
I'm
stop
also
you
a
for a
school
minute. I'm
teacher.
curious.
So I
I'm
have
going
a
to stop
high,
you. Jennifer, I'm going to
find
stop you for a minute. Yep. I'm curious. Not everybody
Sure.
goes from the medical model and says, oh, maybe it's in my brain. Like, maybe it's my mind. Maybe it's my emotions. Like, what part of you even thought that there might be a psychological cause? What that transition, what was going on that you thought?
Well, back in 2012, and I'll just go back for a minute because it's relevant. I had the same kind of back pain, sort of. It was a little different, but whatever, right? That's in the devil's in the details. And I read John Sarno's book. I got over it, but also I made extraordinary life changes. I don't always suggest for everybody, but it was relevant for me. And so I was like, well, wait a minute. This is similar, and maybe this is the same, even though it always feels different, right? When the pain comes on again. No, this is the time it's not. This is the time it's not it coming from my brain. But I just dove deep into the literature. I dove deep into the followings of Nicole Sachs and Dani Fagan. And I read countless books. Alan Gordon, The Way Out. I followed all of the journeys I watched Roundtable religiously. Dan Buglio, listened to him religiously. And what I decided is that there's no structural issue that could follow the pattern that I was having. It just wouldn't be. And I also had one doctor, one very wonderful, wise doctor who was a chiropractor by trade, but he was a body testing doctor. And he would body test me week after week, and he would say, listen to me. Right. And he would say to me, there is nothing wrong with your body. And I would say, yes, but I can't do anything anymore. And exercise is my medicine. It's like movement is my way of everything, right? And probably to the extremity, which was why it was easy for me to believe that perhaps I did this by the extreme marathoning and all the things, right? And I had a PT. She said to me, well, I can tell you exactly why this is going on. It's because of all the running you did. And I was sitting there going, oh my gosh, really? And then I thought, you don't know that. So I guess I just got really defiant against all of it. You don't know that. You just don't know that. And then the fear-based stuff is what really got me in all literature, because I still am very fear-based, and I know it, but I'm getting better at recognizing when that's happening. I mean, I was getting to the point where it's like, I'm not going to be able to play with my kids. I'm not going to be able to teach them how to drive because I can't sit in a car, and everything we got invited to, it's, oh gosh, I don't want to go to that because I'm going to have to be in pain. And, I started to hear the fear in my voice that was constant. It was just it was like a horror movie in my mind, and still putting on this happy face and teaching. I teach a very needy, intense group of kids, and they're everything to me, but it's a lot. So I was managing all of that, and I was overwhelmed. And I think what I first really identified with this time around was how overblown my nervous system was. How it was just on constant feed, never resting. Resting has never been my thing. I'm a go, 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 go. Like, there's no time to rest. Like, even as a yoga instructor, I remember I was Shavasana. I'm like, I can't stand Shavasana. I'm just laying there doing nothing. And so I really decided that it was time to slow down.
So
let's go. We got things to do.
I
knew.
So Jennifer, so you figured it out.
Yeah.
So there you go. So where's the road? Where's the fork in the road? Where's the fork in the road? Are you 50%?
So I know that you probably hear this a lot, but my symptoms are still rocking out. They just really are. I still have all kinds of pain, and it still shifts and changes. Meaning now it's necessarily not doesn't feel as muscular, but I have extreme neuropathy of my hands and feet to the point where sometimes I can't grab things, and maybe to validate what you said, maybe even since my initial reach out to you and to Dr. Talia, when I saw you guys were doing this, maybe I'm even getting better, but it's hard for me to see in the fear and the stuck, because I still get so scared that this is going to be forever. when am I going to be able to stop fighting this? When is it
Let's
going
stop
to
right
one day
there.
just
Let's
go,
stop.
and
Let's
maybe
stop right.
that,
Wait, 1 second. Let's stop right there.
yeah.
I want Dr. Talia to respond to what you just said.
Yeah, so you described something which is like, we all have these different experiences, but there's some common ground like that kind of underpins all of them. And I guess this fear that it will never end is something that can really drive that cycle. So what if you just, take a pause for a moment and maybe even take a breath. You've been talking a lot, sharing your story. So just taking a big breath in and breathing out. And just start to bring yourself into your body. So maybe even closing your eyes for just a moment, if you're comfortable. And just tuning back within. So just for a moment, dropping the story or the information, because obviously, you know it on an intellectualized level, which many of us do eventually get to. But you described your nervous system and the fears just continuing, and that's what's driving the symptoms. So if you just tune in just for a moment and maybe even placing a hand on your heart and just connecting with that part of your body, your inner being, your inner self. And you've come so far already on this journey. But as you drop into your heart space, taking a big breath in and breathing everything out, is there anything that's surfacing that your inner being, your body, your own wisdom is trying to bring to your awareness for where you're at right now on your journey? And just listening in, even if there's nothing, there's no pressure. This might be a process of learning to drop into the body. Given your yoga background, perhaps this is something already really comfortable for you. Taking a big breath in and breathing everything out. Tuning into that wisdom of your heart, just listening for any guidance from within for where you're at now with managing that fear. What do you need next on your journey to settle your nervous system, to manage the fear? And then when you're ready, gently opening your eyes and maybe sharing with us if anything came to the surface. It's okay if it didn't. If anything came to the surface through that little tuning in.
It's interesting that you guided me through that, because it's so nice to have somebody, first of all, to speak to you while you're doing it, rather than just being alone with your own voice, because sometimes when you sit to do that alone, you're like, your mind goes like, well, I don't want to do this, this is stupid. It's like a toddler. My mind, like a toddler, like a unruly toddler throwing things like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this. Let's just stay the same, and I think it's blurry for me. And this is, I think this is why I'm stuck and frustrated. I think my intensity of how I approach everything is how I'm approaching this healing, right?
And can I stop you there for a second?
I'm
just
searching
because we have
frantically
the
for what
delay
is it? What is it?
just because we have some, there's delay when we talk. Sometimes I don't want to butt in, but I do want to say something on what you're saying. So you said that mentality, that fix it, that go, go, go. So we kind of expect the symptoms to go at a rapid rate once we've got it here. But if you think about it, you're on a journey of not eliminating symptoms, but of rewiring your personality. And that has been there for however old you are, that has been there all those years. So this journey is not going, like you said, since February or even last year, or even with a background of a bit of knowledge on the topic. It's not going to be a quick journey. So even if you've made some gains within the year, that's huge, because rewiring a personality, learning to be not a fix, go person might take many years. So if you shift your focus to my journey, it's not about eliminating symptoms, because the symptoms are just showing me something deeper from my soul. This is my soul communicating to me that being a fix, go person is not serving me. So I'm going to have to slowly take the pressure off and learn how to do that. Even just shifting your mindset and your approach, I promise you that's going to completely start to soften things. And you might even notice in doing that, that's where your next step of your healing is, right? Because we want to kind of fix the symptoms, but keep the old aspects of our personality as well. We want both. We want to keep living the life we were living and have no symptoms. But the symptoms are only there to show us that the way we were living our life does not serve us. So it is a process of awakening to our deeper self, right? How does that land for you? How does that sit for you?
Yeah, it's like cognitive dissonance for me. It's like I'm so willing to do it, but also I'm like, I can't wait till this is over so I can go right back to how I was. It's like, I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't.
There you go. That was
I just can't wait to just jam.
Yeah.
I can't
And
wait
can
to
you
jam
see
my schedule again. I can't wait to do everything for everybody.
And can you see how that might be your block? That might be why things are still there, because the lessons haven't been, and this is no blame on you. It takes us all, we're human beings. It takes us having an experience and again and again and again until we finally learn our lessons. So perhaps there's a reason why they're still sticking around, and it's okay. So it's inviting in the space for ego resistance, because our ego, our personality, like you said, we want to be how we were. So we're going to fight, and to just make space for that, to go, okay, at the moment there's a lot of resistance, and I'm almost going to hold the hand, my higher self to my ego self, and walk myself through this resistance. And the more you can come to an acceptance of your new life situation, acceptance and allowing and taking the pressure off, that's your pathway through the symptoms to deeper healing. But it's really starting to switch the mindset that you won't, if you choose. I mean, these symptoms are almost not that they feel like a gift, but it's an opportunity to live your life that's actually more in alignment with your soul rather than your personality.
good one. Oh, very important, Talia.
Because underneath your personality's, I guess, desire for busyness and to go, there's actually subconscious things of why you didn't want to stop. Because people that want to go are running, and they're running from something here, and that's the inner work, right? That's why there's resistance, because if I sit still, I have to face often with what you're describing, the fear, right? So is there, like, perhaps after this conversation, like, is there maybe 1, 2, or 3 things that you could take that perhaps could be different mindsets for how you next approach this next step? You've got all the knowledge, right? So what do you think could be the next right move for you to start to embody that knowledge?
Yeah, the knowledge is easy for me because I'm a spongy, like absorby person, right? I'll take it in. I'm a great student. Like, tell me all the things to do, and I think my next step is to continue to allow myself to like seep into it, you know. And right now, I kind of feel like I'm laying on a raft in the water, like I'm just on the surface, like and I'm holding on to the sides of it, you know, like okay, oh, this feels so weird. It feels so weird to just be like calm, you know. Even though I'm a yoga instructor, there's a reason why I found yoga, and it served me very well. But it's not my as you can tell, I'm a goer. You know, that's just the way I
So
am.
I'll
And
interrupt you
I think
for a
at this
second
point,
there.
like, I want to
Language
confuse.
Language is very, very powerful. And you have just said, I am a go getter. blah, 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 blah. So I am, whatever we put after I am is what we are writing as our story. So perhaps if you choose, this is all choice, if you're wanting to rewrite your story, I was a go, go, go person. Then these symptoms arose to teach me that this didn't serve me. And I'm learning how to be whatever you want to be, right? So you could even write that out to start to rewire your subconscious, because you're still running on the script of I am a go, go, go person. So even though consciously you're like, I'm safe, I'm slowing down, your subconscious is like, no, I'm a go, go, go person. And that's running the show, right?
Yes.
But perhaps even taking that away
Yes.
of how can I
That's
start
so
to say,
perfect.
I was.
And I want to add, and then I'm going to let you speak, Jennifer, but I want to add, because it's very important to be compassionate and loving for that who you are. That go is an incredible quality that will be used for a mother of two sons. Two, that quality is who you are. It's your essence.
Yeah, no choice there.
But there's some disconnect between your heart strings because you're pissed, you're angry, you're like deeply like, fuck this. I don't want to have to change. I liked my life.
Yes.
But I'm going to have to love and be enormously patient and compassionate with that part of me and keep it for when I need it with my boys on the football field. But right now, my brain is living in a state of threat, protecting me so I'm going to have to come to terms with that disconnect. So the love and the patience for who you are. And I like to like what Dr. Talia said was so brilliant. You're evolving. You're not changing, Jennifer. You're evolving. And I like to bring in, dispenser work, a little bit of, breaking the habit of being yourself. Are you willing to kind of break the habit of that part of you that didn't work for you and move on and say not goodbye, but incorporate yourself and become, they say, if you don't come out of this somebody different, you're not going to heal. And somehow we're all asking ourselves, how can we evolve? Not give up, not get rid of, not delete. Just kind of evolve. Take that person with you, but move on.
Can I say something else on what you said, like from my heart, that this idea that, like, I know what you're saying. I've had the same thought processes in my own head. Like, oh my gosh, what happens if this is my life forever? What I actually had to then flip the switch in my own mind, I had to come to an acceptance, and this just came to me. If I have to live my life like this forever, my life is still worthwhile. And that's a really hard place to get to, because it doesn't feel like it if you have to wake up for another day and go through whatever symptoms you experience. It doesn't feel like you would want to choose to live your life like that forever. But when you can come to that real deep acceptance of, even if I had to, it can be a turning point, because the depth of acceptance is almost like stopping the fight, because what you're describing, that fix it, is like a fight. And fight, pressure, resistance only amplifies. Surrender, acceptance, making space drops everything. It's very healing for the nervous system when we just open up and and even though we don't want to, and I know that that's not a process that can be forced, but the more we seek to go, even if I had to live my life like this forever, that what that statement is like an opening. It's a true acceptance. So yeah, I think almost I feel like Dr. Tovah and I are giving you a lot here, and I think what would be really valuable is to sit back and watch this video yourself and to go, what resonates for me? Because there's so much that we've said, and I think ultimately the journey of healing is connecting to yourself. So take what resonates from what we've got to say and discard the rest, right? But I think because there's been quite a lot and we've had these kind of delays with the internet and things like that, it would be of value to sit back and watch and just see, okay, these are a few standout things. And then maybe in a month's time, okay, and just use it as a check-in point. That's just an idea.
Yeah. I mean, everything, I would not discard anything. The frustration that you've described, that's definitely something I am feeling on a very real, common level. But also the love and compassion and also the acceptance. So now it's like this big soup cauldron of all these things. And it's like, I pick up a spoonful. I'm like, what is all, I don't even know how to digest all this. And the patience and compassion piece, you would think as a teacher, I'm very patient, right?
Don't
But I
judge
am not
yourself.
with
Don't judge
myself.
yourself. Don't judge yourself. That's your ego. Oh, because I'm a yoga.
You could,
Don't
I
do
did,
that. We're
or
all
a school teacher, as a,
this is a perfect scenario
yeah,
because you are a teacher. It's the perfect. It happens
yes,
to us smart, sensitive people. It's our ego. And Dr. Hanscom's writing
yes,
a book about ego, and Dr. Talia's got a new book coming out a little bit about the ego and healing. So we've got to look at that. We've got to look at the healing. We've got to look at the ego. This is a big key. This is called being naked and
yes,
authentic with yourself. And maybe that's what Dr. Talia is saying. Like, are you ready to be naked with your clothes on with yourself?
hmm,
And that's, if you
hmm,
can see your healing on the other end of that, then maybe you'll jump into that soup.
yes, yeah, right, and digest it and not spit it out and go, what is all that? I have all the ingredients.
But it's also
It
making space for
is,
where you are now. It's actually, I think right now, with the amount of resistance you're describing, I think you can even adopt this for that. You can even say and write in whatever way feels right for you that right now you're in resistance. And if you can find acceptance in your heart for that, you're doing it, right? Because I know it feels like it's about the symptoms. This isn't about the symptoms. It's about, as we said, you shifting
yes,
elements of your personality. So it's not about being somewhere we're not. We are where we are in this moment. So if you can find that acceptance deep on a deeper level in your heart, there's a lot of resistance right now. Maybe I'm not going to have any gains on this for a week, a month, 6 months. I'm going to sit with what I've learned so far. Taking the pressure off some kind of like it needs to be done now. And honestly, that will soften the symptoms, right? The byproduct of accepting your resistance and maybe stopping pushing yourself to be where you're not. Honestly, as it just softens things, right?
yeah. Yeah, and that's how I see it, and it's so lovely and comforting to soften. And I've never really been a fan. I've been soft and loving to others, but inside I've never really been soft and loving. I've always been like you said, the reason why you continue to accomplish is because there's something that feels
Mm,
unworthy
mm,
about it,
mm,
to have these like, well, look what I did. Look what I did. Applaud me, applaud me, applaud me, applaud me. And so to sit back and say, what if I didn't accomplish anything and just was myself? And my first
mm,
reaction, there's a first reaction that's like, and
mm.
then
Really.
there's all these other things, all these bells and whistles going, but what are we going to do that? Like, that's no. How will you stand out? How will you be special? How will so you can
Mm,
hear it. You can hear it. That's why my nervous system is on fire,
yeah.
because that's my brain going all the time. But it's softening, and the work that is out there in regards to this healing, is immeasurable. I mean, and now I see it everywhere. And just the other day, I teach several yoga classes a week on top of teaching full time Monday through Friday, and on top of raising two boys. And I thought, this is too much. I have to give up one of these
Mm,
classes, and it was
mm,
made me want to throw up. It was in the stomach because I love the classes I teach. And I called the owner of the studio and I told her, and I said, I love you and I love the studio, but I have to take a break. And she was so supportive and so loving and so wonderful. And it was like, that feels so good to just start to like drop things off one by one for now and just focus on one thing and do one thing well. And it felt soft and it feels foreign.
Yeah.
Very
Excellent. That's an
foreign.
excellent, excellent action step. Excellent action step. A message to your brain, a message to your heart that you're worthy. I mean, being a mother is just the most incredible job in the world in itself. But that's a
It
great,
takes up every time.
great, yeah, a great. What and what else? Maybe just as we round out the session, what else do you think? Stop for a minute. Think for a minute about the beautiful thread and theme of this session was just beautiful. What do you feel that could be in this moment for you? Of course, we're going to think about what tomorrow could bring, but what are you feeling from what we shared and how you so beautifully opened up and figured things out in here? But how are you going to get it down there? Think about it for a minute and share with us.
I think every day I feel a little more comfortable with the ability and like you had said with the symptoms being a gift, I do believe that. I believe it wholeheartedly. I really know that there'll be a point in time, where your darkest days are always your brightest, revelations. I've had it many times in my life, just not in the form of pain, which is different. And but I think trusting in the process, trusting in the guidance of my own intuition and my own inner healer. What even if that means that it's different than what I think it looks like, if like, but I'm trusting you, but also I'd really like to go for a run. Also I'd really like to I'd really like to go back to doing all the things I was doing before. So maybe taking out the but also and just I trust you. And if that means today we want to sleep in and not clean the kitchen, then do that. Do that. Just do that. Don't do less. Do less. Maybe that's my takeaway from tonight is
Beautiful.
do less.
And you're allowed to be angry and frustrated and like pissed off and disagree with yourself, but you don't have to have symptoms. You could just
Oh,
be angry and disappointed with yourself and
yes.
wanting to do something different, but we don't have to express that in our physical body. We're not here to get rid of any emotions. We're here to have a relationship, a very healthy relationship with our anger and our disappointment and our fear. What do you want? How do you want to end this session, Dr. Talia? You're so brilliant. Thank you for sharing. Anything else you want to say to Jennifer?
I think also just the only thing that I think it's probably not, we don't need to go into it too much here, but what I think would just be for feedback for you that maybe you can again take or leave it really is just when you watch it back and when you tune into yourself throughout the session, when you've been sharing some of these harder things, I have felt that there's a lot of laughter and animation and almost excitability. And for me, I feel a little bit, there's a mismatch, when you're describing really difficult experiences and then how you present. And so I think perhaps just exploring that from that deeper level, like you were saying, and exploring some things around, the masks we wear and the way we come across to the world and what drives that. It might be an important piece in your journey. It might not, but it's just something to feed back to you. So I hope you can, that's with love from my heart, but I think that that's just something that I observed
Yeah.
through today.
Makes so much sense. I have a very good friend who is also a doctor, but she's a functional doctor. And I was going to a doctor's appointment, and this is what she said to me. She said, when you go, can you please tell this doctor how you really feel? And don't act like yourself.
Oh my God.
But every time I talk to someone, they're like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "I feel terrible, but I'm okay. I'm fine. Everything's fine." You know, laughing and joking, and everyone's like, "No one could ever tell that you're not feeling fine," because I think that it's my resistance again to admitting that I feel like freaking shit, you know, and I don't want to, and I'm angry about it, and I could just be disappointing to other people, which is how it feels to me. Like I
And
don't want to
that's
bring
that.
my
What you've just
blue
said
parade
there.
onto your
That's
sunshiny.
it. There's something really important in that. You said the words that I could be disappointing to people. So the next piece might be in exploring, like if I was just myself and if I, didn't have these getting stuff done or these roles or these achievements, being enough for just who I am, not animating someone, not whatever role you play, and sitting with that. That might be the next part. Might not be, of course. I don't know, only you know. But if it feels like there's something there for you, then perhaps there is. But thank you so much for being so open and taking all our, suggestions. And again, as I said, I'll say it again.
Thank
You
you.
take what resonates and you let go what doesn't resonate.
Full. Let the healing begin.
Yes.
As we get better at feeling, we always feel better.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night. Sleep well.
I appreciate you ladies so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
The recording's going to stop. Okay,